I'm Hans Riemer, and I'm an at-large member of the Montgomery County Council.
On December 1st, 2014, Hans Riemer was sworn in for a second term as an at-large member of the Montgomery County Council.
I'm excited for another 4 years and really glad to be on the Economic Committee, and we're going to be plowing into a lot of big changes for the county, so I'm looking forward to it.
In the audience were Hans's parents, Louise and Dave.
It's a very, very proud day. I'm very proud of this young man. He's done a fine, fine job.
He was a pretty wonderful kid, so of course.
I grew up in California, grew up in Oakland, California. My parents are very involved in the community and in government, politics. You know, I attended city council meetings when I was a young child as my mom was testifying, you know, on very controversial issues, and you know, my parents really passed on that passion for social change and betterment.
In 1995, Hans graduated from the University of California at Santa Cruz with a degree in politics. A college internship in Washington, D.C. greatly influenced his career path.
The organization is called the National Academy of Social Insurance. It's a research organization focused on Social Security and disability, Medicare, healthcare, and I began to experience the world of nonprofit research and advocacy. I found that that was really a sector where I thought I could pursue.
After graduation, Hans founded a research and advocacy nonprofit called the 2030 Center. Through it, he made a difference on big issues like Social Security, health care, and college affordability. He credits early mentors with his future success.
I worked for a man named Arthur Fleming, who first started in the Franklin Roosevelt administration. He was 90 when I started to work for him. I learned a lot from him. I worked very closely for a man named Robert Ball, who had been the Commissioner of Social Security. In the nonprofit sector, you know, so many social justice advocates, you know, people who started organizations like the Campaign for America's Future or the Midwest Academy, you know, kind of the progressive and democratic political community. I've been a part of that and was sort of raised up by so many leaders.
Also in the early stages of his career, he met Angela.
A friend of mine who I was doing volunteer work with at the DNC was Hans's roommate, and I met Hans at one of their parties. They used to have parties all the time.
This was 1998, and we were both involved in democratic politics, and discovered that we both worked in the same kind of downtown area and started running into each other all the time, and you know, started dating and been pretty much inseparable from the beginning. So she's very politically involved, and you know, her career is in government relations, and she's been involved in many great organizations like NARAL or Planned Parenthood. So you know, it's fun to have someone whose career is quite different, but at the same time, you know, in the same kind of world, so that you know, we can share experiences and you know, we can kind of understand what each other's going through, but at the same time, we're quite different in what we do.
Angela and Hans were married in 2002. 5 years later, the chance of a lifetime came along.
Well, I first met State Senator Barack Obama through my wife, Angela, who was director of the Congressional Black Caucus's PAC in 2004. And at that time, Barack Obama was a little-known candidate for U.S. Senate. And so it was easy to get to know him at that time. As he was a senator and started to gain so much recognition for his views and his strong positions on issues,
all of us pledging allegiance to the Stars and Stripes.
I thought, one day this guy's going to run for president, no question about it. And I would love to be a part of that campaign. I figured it'd be 20 years down the road. It turned out to be maybe 2 years down the road. And so when he launched his campaign, even though we learned that Angela was pregnant and our first boy was coming, packed up the Mustang and drove off to Chicago and worked on the campaign as the National Youth Director. Just to be part of what was truly a generational movement, probably one of the most profound generational political movements in a long time. Young people seeing a candidate who they could identify with and who identified with them. That was incredible. Also, it's just seeing how technology can drive social and political change, because the campaign was able to use technology in so many new ways, and the youth program was, you know, part of that.
When the Riemers returned from Chicago, they had become parents for the first time. Henry was born in 2007. Younger brother Travis came along 4 years later. In between those two big life events, Hans ran for and won an at-large seat on the Montgomery County Council.
As an elected official, I get to be not only an advocate but also a decision maker. It's not very far afield from starting a nonprofit organization as I did, and bringing together a community of supporters and putting an issues agenda together and trying to get legislation passed in Congress. It's not too different from getting elected to the county council, devising your issue agenda, building your coalition, getting bills passed at the council.
Yes, Bill 4814 is adopted unanimously on the 9th.
The lessons that I've learned were good preparation for being a council member. Of course, nothing can really prepare you for being a council member because it's a very unique job. But it's just another way of pursuing my general interest in trying to help communities meet their needs and help government be more effective in creating opportunity for people.
Once a resident complains, they're essentially going to have to continue to report their outage.
Serving as a council member is more exciting than I ever would have imagined. The variety of issues that we deal with is just phenomenal. Where a public safety issue like the curfew one week,
the youth curfew bill, which is in essence inimical to all we believe Montgomery.
Or an environmental issue like bag fees or styrofoam the next week. After that, employee compensation and health care and pensions. And then the next day you're regulating the taxi industry and trying to figure out how the taxis have a future in the face of Uber. It's just a locomotive of policy issues that comes through. And for me, that's what I really love the most, is to just delve deeply and, to cast my vote with a feeling of being informed and being confident that I'm doing the right thing.
This is our operations station. This is Steve Hartle, one of our senior water plant operators. Steve is looking at some of the SCADA screens. The operators here can view a lot of the different processes, see what's going on at the plant. He's looking at, just showed.
We were invited by WSSC to come out and take a look at the water filtration plant. This plant feeds the water for almost all of our Montgomery County residents. So, he thought it was a great opportunity to come out and take a look and sort of see firsthand how they do their work.
What's the total time between the landing here and going out to the taps? Infrastructure is so important. When I ran for office, I remember people saying that the county needed to focus on the basics, like getting us power, getting us reliable water service, things like that. So just to be here, and to have a more confident grasp of the entire system helps me make better decisions and ask better questions so that I can hold this service accountable for what our residents expect.
We work very closely to schedule him so that he can get to as many things as possible. And we try to do a mix. It can be very hectic to get from place to place. We try to time the meetings accordingly. Making sure that we have time to eat lunch sometimes is a challenge in and of itself.
And to Hans, being careful with his schedule is just as important at home.
While being an elected official is a great job, and it's better than I really ever hoped it would be, I really want to first and foremost fulfill my commitment as a dad and as a husband.
He's 5.
There are many families like ours with 2 professionals who might have to be out. One of us might have to be out on any given night. Last couple of days my wife's been in Chicago, and so I gotta figure out all the events I've been invited to, and there's a lot of logistics.
That's nice, isn't it? That looks like real glass.
We try to communicate and be as organized as possible because we are all hands on deck, and rather than dividing responsibilities, we each take turns doing the same things. And so we've got to make sure that we're talking. Let me see. Oh, I see. Okay. We need to make sure we're communicating so that we remember who's on deck when, doing what. And we've got a lot of family around, which is fantastic.
I like to cook, and I'm the chief meal preparer for the house. My oldest, he's learning guitar. I'm working very closely with him on music. My parents taught me music from a very young age, and we're doing that, of course, with our children as well. A lot of fun. There's a lot of time, running around, going to the park or playing soccer or drawing.
Do you know what sounds they make?
Just trying to have fun and give them the fulfilling childhood that I want for them.
Hans ran for re-election in 2014. For this campaign, like the first, his family was all in.
So my mom is coming over. She comes over all the time, but right now she and my uncle are returning yard signs. These were decorating my mom's car. Okay, Uncle Dennis, hey Mom.
Running for office is definitely a family affair. You got to have your family's support, first of all, to persevere against the odds. And there's a role for everybody.
Hi, I'm Henry, and this is my brother Travis. Hi. This is Mom, and this is my dad, Riemer.
Uh-oh.
Dad's on the mountain.
So I do some campaigning. I knock doors, which I actually like to do. It's nice because this is our community, so it's nice to get out and talk to our neighbors and see what's happening around Montgomery County. I make phone calls. We do more events together as a family because Hans has more events and we want to spend time with him. So we do parades and we do community events.
No, this bar is red.
One of the unique aspects of my candidacies and my service is that I have a young family, and I see the county from that perspective. There's so much to be valued here, and we're experiencing all that in a very personal way. It's really a lot of fun.
My family's here, so I'm trying to see what a 7-year-old, what would be most compelling. And right now we're working on electronic circuitry, kind of learning the basics of how lights turn on and things like that.
I think you start to really appreciate how great a place this is to live when you have young children and you start to really use the parks or the libraries or the schools.
I want my kids to be safe around water. That's the bottom line. I mean, I think they'll love swimming and it's a great sport, but I want my kids to be safe because you can't control where a child is going to encounter water. You never know, and it's going to be there their whole lives. So the earlier you start, the easier it is to learn, I think, as well.
It leads me to focus on certain issues that otherwise might not get addressed.
Childcare is a critical issue for our workforce. People have to know that they can get back to work. They can make appropriate choices between their work and their life.
Now, early into his second term in office, Hans can reflect on his accomplishments thus far.
I've been really pleased with the impact that I've had, the issues that I've focused on, the policies I've put into place, the decisions that I've been able to make.
It sounds like no one has really brought it up yet, so...
I think I've been able to bring a different perspective, and I work well with my colleagues, and we've taken on some really difficult issues. I think we've made great decisions.
As it turns out, being there for his family is something Hans is accomplishing even when he is at work.
Hans's job impacts us because he does a lot of work around quality of life in the communities and looking at the schools and our transportation system, and those are all things that impact us. So that's fantastic. And I love that he's always pretty close by. He's always in Montgomery County, so no matter how far away Dad is during the day, he always comes home at night.
How's your day at school, buddy?
I'm proud to be serving the residents of Montgomery County because this community has really great values and strives to be a caring place, a community where everyone has a chance to succeed. And I think that's what's really most important. And as a government official, I have a real role in that. I have a role in this community achieving the vision that we have for ourselves. I feel lucky to be in public service in a place like this.